Hello everybody and welcome to the round of 16 match Canada versus Indonesia. And today it's gonna be me casting with Toy. How are you, Toy?
I'm doing great, Forrest. I'm ready for an exciting match. Looking at these two teams, and there are some great players on both sides. I think a lot of people are expecting both teams to do extremely well, especially considering their performances last week.
Right, funnily enough, I actually missed last week's performance from Canada, which I heard was really good. And
Canada,
also for the qualifiers match was also really good. So I'm gonna be really excited to finally see them play in action.
Canada's looking very, very strong. I've said it before, and I'll keep saying it. I don't think people are really prepared for what this team has to offer. I've actually been lucky enough. Our team has been we got to scrim Canada yesterday, and they are looking very fierce. I'm very excited to see them perform today.
Right, are there any players in particular you want to talk about, Toy?
I've mentioned them before. I think rather than sing the praises of the same people, like everyone knows Azer, everyone knows Ryuke. People might not know some players like Yummy. Last week did extremely well. He got 100 on one of the DTs. It was really impressive. They've got yuuki-chan, fantastic hidden player, looking really strong. Over on Indonesia, Skydiver as the captain, a really well-rounded player. Lots of tournament performances that I think anyone would be proud of. SMH, I think, is one of their strongest players as well. Very, very well-rounded. Also, lots of tournament history. I think they've won the Indonesian tournament a couple times. Got some badges for that. Lloyd Kuhn, very, very fast. They've got pretty solid squad. Both teams do, but I think it really will come down to whichever team is more prepared, since it is very early and the pools are still pretty relatively easier.
Right, right. I mean, we just be sure to not fly in the pools. I mean, there's a certain person currently who's present.
I'm not saying anything about the pool quality. I'm just saying it's still early in the tournament.
Yeah, I just want to give you a fair warning at this point, right? But yeah, I think you pretty much talked about a lot of these guys. Just in general for the strength, I think Canada is going to be really scary and hidden, which they showed until now. And Indonesia was pretty decent all around, playing against Italy, showed a good performance, but still, I think just going from the seeding and the players present right now, I think Canada is definitely going to be the favorites to win this match.
I think Indonesia's strongest like area right now is DT. They look really, really strong on DT. I think if I'm correct, SMH actually got the top score for the entire round of 32 on DT3 last. So they're looking really good. Though at the same time, Canada's DT roster is very strong as well. So even if that's Indonesia's best bet, it's going to take a lot to beat Canada in any area. I think Canada's just really, really well-rounded this year.
Right, I think, I mean, just looking at the entire roster, it's going to be really good showing, hopefully, from Canada. Let's see what Indonesia can do. But actually, just let's go right into the match because we see the first warm-up coming in, and it's going to be a bit hard to how should I say? It's hard to ignore this map, right? I mean, talk about the
You
team
know,
and the players, and then seeing this. What
I
is
did my
this?
best to ignore what was happening. I saw Comic Sans. I figured it was best to leave unspoken, but man, we've had
Oh, man.
some kooky warm-ups this entire time. I don't know if you saw France's warm-up this morning.
Oh no, I missed that. I saw
Oh,
the match, but then I missed the warm-ups, unfortunately.
incredible.
Oh man, wonderful, absolutely
Also,
wonderful.
curious what you think of the new skin being used actually on stream. I think they
Right,
changed it
right.
from last week.
Yeah, because this is officially my first match actually of the weekend, and just looking at stuff in general, I did see the skin used. I think it's pretty interesting. I also like the changes which happened so far because you can actually see the mod icons. They are actually using I think the standard skin mods now. I think the skin is in general a good step in the right direction. Um, but it's more of a combination of two factors, right? Because the background dim has also been changed from 50% to 90%, so the background is just a lot darker. Which by itself, alright, that's a good change. But then if you add the skin with a black colored cursor on top of like the even darker background this time around, I think might not have the biggest of contrast. But I think it's a pretty interesting and cool step in the right direction, just to see, I guess, a bit of variety as well.
I like the contrast between the really dark 300s and then the super bright like blue and
Oh yeah, right.
50s
right.
and
Oh, that's a good point actually. That's a good point because I think that's a good contrast because some people just don't like 300s, and if they're barely visible, you still like see those small little numbers. It reminding of them, yeah, they do exist. They do count as 300 and not as nothing because it's invisible. And no, 100 is not 100% points on a note. That's something you definitely should not do.
yeah, 300 is 100, 100 is 33, and 50 is 12.5. Remember that. That's what my mom used to say.
Exactly. And if you still don't know, I guess you just should have paid more attention in math class. I mean, it's obvious, right? 300 is 100.
300 is 100, and 100 is 33.333 repeating.
Wonderful. Oh,
This looks like a fun warm-up.
wait, is this the CS7 version or is it? No, it's
If it was CS7, I would be yelling at the 3 who picked Hard Rock on.
right, right. I mean,
No, it
that's
is
the positive
CS7.
thing.
Look.
I was actually hovering over this map today for
This is really
obviously
cool.
non-specific purposes. But
Non-map pool related purposes.
Exactly, exactly. Just out of personal curiosity. And because of that, I know this map pretty well. It's pretty free at the beginning, has some 1/3s, which are pretty hard to hack actually, but should be pretty much seeable. Then it goes into some jumps, which are definitely the harder part of it. Then it goes into another down phase, another jump part, and at the end is like this stupidest pattern you ever see in your life, which is 1/3, but just really spaced triple on CS7, which is by
I like
far the
how
hardest part.
the circles are like almost smaller than the judgment of the 150.
It looks like someone dropped their mini M&Ms. Like
Oh,
that's
boy.
that's all I'm seeing here.
All right, I thank you for making that joke and not hey, is this O's for ants? Oh my god. Because that was from the obvious one.
That's the one. That's a classic. Oath
Right.
France.
That's the one you see in the YouTube comments.
But since they're colored, we're using this default skin, or this default skin edit. Reminds me of candy. You don't see a lot of maps with CS7 anymore, do you?
No, you absolutely don't. And trust me, I looked for stuff. I have a good reason to.
I wish more people tried to incorporate smaller circles into their maps. I think if done well, it can make for a really interesting experience.
Right. I think in general, just people just should experiment a bit more, because you also don't see a lot of appropriate 8 and a lot of really gimmicky weird stuff. Usually when you see gimmicks like wait, how do you pronounce him exactly?
I think KTGster.
KTG
I don't know if that's right.
Alright. I think that sounds good. I think that sounds good, right? Because every time I actually pronounce his name, I just chant like
KTGster.
Well,
Yeah.
having to say his name in a cast, you might want to pronounce it correctly.
There's a couple mappers I think do CS5 really
Oh.
well.
That was the 1/3 part. Everyone missed
Ooh.
it. What a surprise. Alright, sorry. Go ahead, Toy.
No. Wait. Oh no, Askaveth went down. He wasn't even using Hard Rock either. I guess he wasn't using No-Fail like everyone else though. Wow, they didn't even bother to skin the D, because I don't think they thought anyone would get a D. All the other letters look really nice, and then the
Right.
D is a completely different font.
Someone missed this.
What was I saying? Something about mappers?
I
don't remember.
Yeah, maybe gimmick or something.
Oh, some good CS5 mappers.
Oh,
I
yeah,
really liked KTGster. I like Muya. Cloyd. Cloyd was really cool back in the day. I don't know what he's making now.
Yeah, he doesn't really map a lot.
He's been mapping recently though. He ranked Ghost by Camellia.
Did he? Alright, let me just make a note in the note. 1 second.
Wait. I take it back.
So you were saying?
I was saying we're getting right into the picks and the bans here for Canada versus Indonesia.
Oh boy. Alright, any specific maps you would expect to be banned for Canada or Indonesia? I think it's a bit easy to predict for Indonesia.
Indonesia will probably ban Kwai 9, the AR8 hidden. Canada was looking real good on Silver Orbit last week, and I don't think Indonesia's hidden is quite up to par with Canada. I think Canada might opt to ban one of the AIM maps, either Hard Rock 1 or Nomad 1, maybe Hard Rock 1. But that's kind of what I'm thinking.
I would have personally said, also I could completely agree with the hidden prediction. I think it's either gonna be a hidden map or Nomad 5, probably.
That makes sense.
And for Canada, it's I think you have a pretty good intuition there that they might go for the 100 or just an A map. Mostly, Acer loves just calling all Nomad ones just A maps RNG, and being one of the better performing or one of the best, if not the best performing member on his team. Although I think Rook actually takes that crown at this point.
Maybe.
I think not using him for certain type of pick might be a bit ban-worthy, but I think Nomad 1 being as it is, which is just a harder map than anything else really, just pure raw aim there, out of the streams. and them having good players for it, like Europe, I think it's maybe a pick where you can just pick it and dominate even more rather than just, banning a weakness.
Maybe. I think looking at Indonesia, though, their players definitely seem to be more comfortable on the aim maps. I know Skydiver and SMH are particularly good at aim, at least more generic jumps. Ban Hidden 2 coming out from Indonesia. Quinine is gone. Now we get to see what Canada responds with here. Probably the smartest move that Indonesia could have made. I think Canada has potential to just have 4 people full combo that.
Yeah, actually taking that into account, I definitely also see Nomad 1 or Hidden Hard Rock 1 being ban worthy quite a bit. Because if you know that it's a huge strength of the Indonesian team, it's gonna be DT3. I actually thought for a second, what about double time? But then I remembered, they got a bunch of double time players, right?
Yeah. I also thought DT would be an option for Canada, considering I did mention Indonesia's strongest mod would probably be DT, though I was kind of expecting Canada to be confident enough in their own DT lineup to not ban it, but you never know. Show up the day of the match and you might just not be fast enough. You just might not be feeling as good as you normally.
Alright, I mean, potentially it might also be Aza just going for mind games, because we do know Aza definitely tries to do something in terms of when it comes to picking order and stuff like that. And maybe he's just trying to ban DT to give like Indonesia a false sense of security. When they win on other picks and Indonesia thinks, well, they banned double time, maybe they're not feeling well on it. And try to suddenly think, okay, since we lost these other picks, let's try DT, and then pretty much just trap them into having a really bad pick for them. There are 3 DTs after all, right?
Yeah, there are 3. I think that's a really easy trap to fall into when you're picking, is if a map pool is diverse enough and your maps within a certain mod bracket, like say Hard Rock. Here the Hard Rocks are CS 6.5 and a little bit rhythmic and an aim map, so it's not really correlated whether if you ban one you're going to do poorly on the other. And I think that's the same with DT, especially with DT. It's really easy to think that if someone bans DT that they might not be as strong on the other ones, but we've frequently seen teams ban DT and then do really well.
Yeah, but sometimes it's really hard to tell whether the team just didn't really know what to do, or if they actually, or it's still the only DT we can't play. Because at this point in this pool, if you look at DT, I think DT being pretty much the only place where you see speed. And obviously, banning the fastest map gives you a kind of leeway if you don't have maps for that fast burst. I definitely can see a team being able to perform on the first 2 DTs, but not on the third one, which is the fastest. I think it's especially true in Nomad, and why people probably usually start picking Nomads at the start of the match, is because if you lose a Nomad pick, the team really didn't have a lot of advantage or info from it, because just because you lost one Nomad doesn't mean you lose all of them. And sometimes, in some situations where like a certain type of maps get picked, you kind of get a lot of information and see, oh, wait, they actually performed really bad on the slowest DT, and it wasn't like film control, it was just slower DT, let's just pick the faster, right?
Yeah.
You get a bit of information, you can sometimes get some conclusion out of it. But if you pick Humanoid, if you win it or lose it, there's not a lot else to pick and respond.
Yeah, nothing's quite like Humanoid in this pool.
And talking about Humanoid, what is Humanoid all about? I mean, we're gonna see it in a few seconds, I assume.
Humanoid, Nomad 4. It's alternate style. I don't know if I like the term alternate style.
Right, yeah.
But I don't know what else to call it. It's got spaced, slow BPM streams. I think it's pretty consistent all around. You kind of get the idea of what it's like once the map starts here. I believe this is Canada's pick.
Yep, it is. Aza picked this. It's I would say like a hybrid of a low VPN streaming pick and then like some of these alternate snapping style in the KI times. You
A lot of
shouldn't
odd
really
rhythms.
miss. Oh yeah, right. Yeah, all the rhythms, and you shouldn't miss between the KIs. And if you do, you probably will lose the match. I believe.
There's one pattern right here at the beginning that overlaps itself, and I always forget it. You'll see it real soon. We'll see if that trips anyone up if they didn't practice this map. I think it's right here.
Oh yeah, that one.
Ooh, nobody. Didn't catch anyone.
Oh, fun fact, we had like a really random that's a miss by LloydCon and SMH on those rather spaced streams. Fun fact, Node 1 actually had the exact same pattern we just saw, that was a random overlap, a perfect stack. And we changed it in the last minute because we were like, this is weird.
Yeah, Nomad 1 has one of those.
It had more than just one. I think it still has one.
And looking into the first fourth of the map, first quarter, Indonesia is already down 3 FC, and yet the entirety of Canada is holding strong.
I mean, good pick so far. I mean, if you already passed the first key item with quite a demanding lead, and the only reason why you can ever lose this map is by your own fault, I think this is a really good position to be in.
Yeah, this map does not offer a lot of like patterns that feel unfair. Everything in this map is very similar to each other. Like all the different patterns are very similar, so it's really on you if you lose focus or you miss aim.
I mean, chances are, if you didn't really hit the first part because you're uncomfortable with the map, or if it's just not your type of map, chances are you're not gonna hit the second key item, the second part of it.
Oh, Azer's combo is down now. Honestly, the least likely I would have said to break from Canada, as this is like exactly what Azer's kind of known for. Stu following as well. Gotta say, even though those two breaks have just occurred, Canada is still in the lead with 2 FCs against Indonesia.
Right, but this time pretty much the roles just reversed. Indonesia is the team which held strong throughout the KI time, while Canada was the team to just break.
Yet unfortunately for Indonesia, they didn't build enough of a combo, and Canada's 4 through the first KI have secured them quite a hefty lead, honestly. So with a few more choice breaks from their side, we could see this flip back to Indonesia's favor really, really quick. This section is just kind of slow build up. Combos are increasing.
But I still think Canada needs one more miss. Oh, and that's a miss by LloydCon and Skydiver, so I believe there's not really a chance to come back at this point.
They were digging themselves out of the grave and then a landslide back into there.
Yeah, Ryuk did also answer with a miss of his own, but I think the damage has been done. Even though there's only 300,000 points in difference, there's still no FC from Indonesia and just 2 high combos versus an FC and 2 mid-ish combos.
Gotta shout out the accuracies from both Yummy and Azer. Holding, and Stoof, I would say, high 99s, mid to high 99s. Yummy with like a 99.7 FC.
Pretty much stealing the show. You expect Ace to be really pretty good on this map and perform really well, but
when we scrimmed, he SS'd this.
Oh yeah, doesn't that sound familiar, Toy? Like being really good in scrim and then suddenly this happens?
That's the scrim I was talking about. That's what I mean, is if you can look really good on paper, you can be as prepared as you want for a match, and if you're not ready the game day, then can easily swing to your opponent's favor. Yummy with 2-100. Dominant performance. I think the only FC of the entire map out of all 8.
I mean, 2 100s can't really complain at this point, and just good performance. Canada's first pick, went pretty successful. But how is Indonesia going to respond at this point?
I'd assume double time. Probably DT1. Definitely see that come out from them. I think despite DT2 being faster, it doesn't have a lot of room for error. It's more aim-oriented and kind of weird patterns rather than speed. What is happening?
We're currently just getting a remix. We're a bit. The song's just getting old, so we just figured, I mean, you just heard the song for 4 minutes, so why?
I mean, after like what is now 2 years, 3-4 years dealing with the tournament client, I don't think I ever seen that. Like this song just repeating itself the first 2 seconds. Like, okay then.
To me, it looked like it tried to load a map which didn't exist, or tried updating it, or like just didn't have the right version of it, so it just like spazzed out. Man, I mean, we're back to normal.
Get to see new bugs every day. Ain't that exciting?
I mean, you did mention that Indonesia does have pretty good aim players and raw skill players. So, double time, obviously, some people being good at double time. Nomad might also be an option for Nomad 1.
Fremod 2, though.
Ooh.
This is probably the least picked or banned, probably the most ignored map. So,
yeah, because I think this map is just a huge question mark for just a lot of teams. It's easy to, I guess, group a certain team and say they're good at aim, they're good at streams. But when you get to the niche of, this map does have aim, this map does have streams, but it also has reading, and you feel like if you have a mix of all these skill sets, it's hard to tell, wait, am I better than this other team at this map? And at this point, it's like, you see it mostly used when you really have no idea what to pick, usually. Unless you prepared something. I'm gonna be interested in how they prepared and what they're gonna go for, or what kind of the line of thought was for this team.
I think the question becomes, are you good at evil Elvis maps?
That is a good
question. Can you play Joneson?
So, are you good at evil Elvis map?
I quite like his maps. I think they're a bit controversial. Not in the sense that, like, I think they're polarizing is a better word for it. Either people are really into Elvis maps, or they really don't like the patterns he uses.
Oh boy, yeah, I agree. It's pretty much also the reason why you put this in, mostly because Evil Elvis has his own kind of style. You do see a few mappers trying to emulate it, like Mirage, for example.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting looking at the 2 free mods you chose. Like, you've got a bunch of samples, which is very linear and very, like, I would almost say angled. Like, there's a lot of angles. This one's very free-flowy. Not much direction. That's not to say it's not structured, but it's very laissez-faire.
Alright, and we do see just the minimum, the bare requirement for the mods, which is 1 hidden and 1 hard rock for each team. You are able to add hidden to the hard rock, because hard rock itself is the important thing, which is making circles smaller, increasing the approach rate, HP drain, which doesn't really matter at this point. Well, it actually does matter, because he did not use no fail. Oh boy.
Yeah, interesting. Only 4 players are using no fail. There's not much to fail on, but it's still interesting that when a mod is presented that has no downsides and is only there to help you, you just don't use it.
Right, I mean, maybe they're just trying to flex on Twitch chat at this point. Hey, look at me, this guy's better than me, but look, I have no fail, but he does.
Some of our teammates have been trying to do that, but we're very, very firm in trying to get everyone to play with no fail, just because there's no reason to take chances. Like,
right, exactly. It's like, why would you ever not go for it? If someone's handing you a free handout, why do you not take it?
You become the guy that didn't take it. That's your
Right.
legacy.
And if you fail, you become the guy who's gonna get blamed for the rest of the tournament or the match or whatever, depending on how important that fail was or not.
I think it'll be interesting, later on in this tournament, if someone does end up failing and costing someone the point, how people will respond to that, considering there was the option to just prevent that.
Right, I think some people will scream bingo, but other people will definitely blame you.
I didn't even realize that was a bingo tile.
It probably is. I remember something akin to like no failing, and there's some issues there.
Gotta mention though, Ryuto, the first to drop in this map, the hard rock player for Indonesia. Canada taking a bit of a lead, but there's still a lot of map left. There's still a lot of patterns that people can break on.
Yeah, and at this point, I think this is the point where the map starts.
Ooh, SMH dropping as well.
I think Ryuto missing is completely fine because I think hard rock is definitely a situation where you're the sacrificial lamb.
It's not really sacrificial when you've got Ryuki on the other side destroying his hard rock, though Azer does drop, giving Indonesia a bit of a chance, but they're still in the lead as well as like with the advantage.
Oh boy, and the hard rock did combo through the first KI toy. Good job by Ryuk. 3 FCs against, at this point, just 2.
Skydiver and Nero both holding 99.81 on their Nomad. Ryuto dropping as well on that stream. Even though Azer dropped, the rest of Canada is there to support. Their lead growing, potentially taking a second point, a break point away from Indonesia here.
300k isn't that much of a difference, but just having just an 8 of the net left, it's definitely gonna be a almost unobtainable lead, or just a difference you can make for Indonesia, especially if you miss as Lloyd could, because that's the second FC gone, and I don't think you can really come back from that.
It's Skydiver alone for Indonesia, standing up against Ryuki, Yummy, and Nero, all full comboing so far. And you said 300k was not a big lead, but how about 600k?
Oh boy, yeah.
Canada just moving. Oh, as I say that, Yummy does break. However, the deed is done.
But look, Azer might fail. I mean, he doesn't have no fail.
At this point, I think if Azer fails, they'll still win.
They actually do. Oh boy. Well, doesn't matter. I think at this point we can actually say Canada's gonna win.
Ryuki breaking, missing his full combo right at the end. Neuro, the lone FC against Skydiver, yet look at that lead.
I mean, that's still a slider S. Let's just say he missed a few slider ends, right?
he missed 10 slider ends.
Oh man, I think the closest I've personally seen, at least, so when it came to hard rock and comboing this map, was Wolfie, who also I think got 2 combo earlier. Got a miss 2 combo earlier than Ryuk. So like 1373. That was also pretty heartbreaking.
Canada taking a very crucial point away from Indonesia. Now they're definitely with the momentum here. It's their pick.
Stoof just joined, apparently.
Welcome,
what would
Stoof.
you reckon to be picked here if Stoof
Hard rock?
joins?
I always think hard rock, but Stoof is also pretty good in everything else. I associate him with hard rock, but he can do much more than just that. Free mod 1.
Okay. Sure, I mean, we might see Stoof on hard rock at this point, so your prediction still might be correct? If it is, great job, Toy. If it isn't, nice try, Toy.
It depends on if Ryuki stays in, you know? because then you don't know.
Oh yeah, then at that point you're like, okay,
There's a chance Azer doesn't play this and lets Yuki go in for hidden and bring in like Trev Rasher as a no mod player. Well, there goes Stoof. Stoof has left again.
perhaps he just joined the lobby to
say hi.
say hi, yeah. Or to
That's
say
cute.
it is I.
Stoof presents himself and then dips.
At least he was part of the entire action, if he doesn't get swapped in at any point.
Here comes Trev Rasher, Azer, and Yuuki-chan. Yeah,
Both
I think-
yuuki-chan and Azer?
I think Yuuki-chan will go hidden and Azer will go hidden Hard Rock, Trev and Nero as no mod. And then on Indonesia's side, Ryuto, Hard Rock, maybe Lloydkern as
This
maybe
is actually
Rexy's. Hard to
pretty
say.
interesting. Also pretty interesting that Canada has taken this long to select their players when it's actually their own pick. You would expect them to have prepared pretty much a lineup for every single pick.
You know, I saw earlier in the match, Azer said something about nearly getting to play a full round of Bomb Party. I think their team is just preoccupied in the bench.
Oh boy, alright.
Wow, look at all the mods.
Wait. Okay.
It's a whole rainbow here of yellow and red. You know, two of 7, almost a rainbow. I guess no film makes it 3. 3 of 7.
Yeah, unfortunately you can't really pick hard rock and easy at the same time.
It's more of a stop sign or a stoplight.
Yeah. It is not that surprising that there are more mods than Free 2, because this map I would definitely say is easier to see.
Absolutely, though I think it's surprising that only one person is using no mod. Do you think both teams kind of pressured each other into picking more mod, considering the map is a bit easier? If everyone FCs, then
Right. But it's not gonna happen. I don't think we'll see 8 YFCs at this point, and you can see why.
I mean, you can see because 3 people have already broken their combos. 4
right,
actually.
Bold prediction,
5.
there's gonna be an 8 YFC at this point.
Holy cow, there have been a lot of misses in this first section.
Personally, I understand the hard rock mods a bit more, because if you don't have enough players who are comfortable with this BPM and approach rate, just go hard rock. It's a lot easier to snap on it and on these type of patterns. But going 2 times hidden? I mean, sure, why not? I would prefer to go for the no mod, but if you really have 2 people who would prefer to fight with hidden,
Why not?
but I mean, if you just look at it, maybe they don't. I mean, both of them missed already.
I suppose. But
It's not looking
who's
too
to
hot
say-
for Indonesia.
who's to say they'd do better on no mod? I at least know both of those players to be quite solid hidden players. So right now it's Azer, Neuro, and Ryuza with full combos, Yuuki-chan close behind, and everyone else building combos. Seems like people have gotten their footing after that intro. I'm not sure what happened or why that intro is kind of through people.
Yeah, it didn't really strike me as just that much harder than the rest of the map, personally.
I would say it's
mean,
easier.
Yeah.
I think it might just be the sharp contrast of the style of map from an Evil Elvis map to something a lot more linear. Maybe that threw people off. Though as Ryuto and Ryuza have both dropped their combos as well, Canada's lead just grows even further. Might see over 1,000,000 point difference here. Extremely solid performance from them. Oh, though Neuro does break right near the end. Azer does come in with a hidden Hard Rock FC. 99.55. Or 57, actually. Incredible.
And Nero didn't really hold strong against the pressure of the SS. I saw him assessing, and I just didn't want to mention it. You know, just
Yeah.
I know if I'm gonna say Nero's assessing, he's gonna miss. And I knew if I would have said it at that point, he would have missed literally 4 seconds afterwards.
Look, they
I'm
got
glad I
two
didn't say it.
people. Two players from Canada have 0 100s, 1 miss. Yuuki-chan and Nero, just in different spots.
I think personally, this map is one of the maps where you probably either assess or just die trying and don't not FC. And you can see similar scores from Rexas, for example, who had, I think, 150 and 3 misses, and that's it. Kind of
Yeah, you don't
reminds you
miss.
almost of easy, which is either assess or just miss, and not really
Or
50s.
fail.
Yeah, or fail, obviously.
Yeah, the hardest thing is really getting the aim down. The rhythm is pretty straightforward. It's probably the most straightforward of any of the maps in the pool here. So we're looking at a 3-0 lead for Canada. Good picks for them. Both of them pretty large gaps. Honestly, all three maps we've seen really big margins between the two. Either Canada's like, I think Canada just really came out ready to play.
Right, I think also Canada is... I think without any discussion, we can definitely say Canada is the one to be favored to win this, just looking at past performances. If you look at the seeding, if you look at the performances of last week, you definitely see Canada as a strong opponent if you're Indonesia. And even if you lose against Canada, I don't think that it's gonna be a huge problem or like something you're gonna be too down on yourselves. At this point, Indonesia has won our match already, so even if they lose, they can still go down to the losers bracket and just climb the way up from there. Losing to Canada is like, it's absolutely not an issue. I think it's definitely gonna be an uphill battle at this point. How would you say actually Indonesia might try to win this time?
Might win this tourney?
Or might want to win this match, sorry.
Oh, they might want to win this match. I think they might want to try DT. Like I said, their best performances last week were on DT. Maybe some Nomad. Just hope that there's some goofy breaks on Nomad 1 or Nomad 3, something with aim, because I think Canada's showing us that these sort of stranger patterns aren't really throwing them. Here comes DT1 though. Spring of Dreams.
All right, and as
hopefully they take my advice.
Yeah, let's see. This one, Spring of Dreams, is pretty much the lowest BPM in the DT pool. It is 230 BPM, which is mildly fast for DT map, I would say. Still on the lower side.
Though a couple longer bursts might throw you off.
Right.
There's a chance to.
Is there anything else in this map you should pay attention to? Is it more like just a stream map, or is it finger control?
Well, I think for me it's a little different than for other people, as DT's never been my strongest suit. But there are a couple. It's pretty bursty, if I would say. If I would call it anything, it's more bursty. There's a couple doubles randomly thrown in. I think some even numbered streams, but for the most part, it's pretty straightforward. As long as you can play the BPM, you should be all right.
All right, a bursty with like a touch of finger control then. Let's see how well Indonesia can do against Canada.
I'm expecting pretty well, but
yeah. I'm also expecting Ryuk to come in here. All right, yeah, I was about to say. Fourth player missing. Who's gonna come in at this point?
I think that is... even though Ryuk is like the best DT player on their team, like obviously he's in the top 10, I believe. I think you should keep your eyes on Yummy. He's been performing like out of his mind this tournament, especially on DT. I think he'll do really well. Over on Indonesia, I think Skydiver SMH will definitely do really well. Where do you see Canada going this entire tournament? Because I think people are starting to realize they're a top level team. Like they've got a lot of potential to go very, very far.
They definitely do. But are they gonna overcome this match? I mean, at this point.
At this rate, it's looking pretty uneven. But we've seen crazier comebacks in this tournament.
Yeah, but this pick needs to be a turnaround pick. If not, then it's gonna look pretty bad, I think.
I think not only will it look bad, but I think it'll just kind of feel bad. Once you're down 4-0 and it's match point, I think you just kind of give up in a. But if Indonesia wins this, I think they'll keep their head in the game and realize that there's still a chance.
Yeah, this is a really big turnaround pick, because even if they lose this, Canada has the choice. And so far, Canada's choices have been pretty dominating. Alright, hopefully we dilly-dallied enough in the lobby and we'll get right into the map. Starting with the initial burst, we do see a few accuracy drops here and there. SMH has been invited to the party, but didn't respond yet.
He's still putting his makeup on. Give him some time. Fashionably late.
It's fine. He'll come out when he's not nervous anymore.
Yeah, I'm sure he's still playing in the background, though right now it looks like things are pretty even. As long as SMH has his comp, it's looking pretty even.
Right. For now, we'll just say, because SMH is a pretty good player, I think he's probably gonna FC at this point. Slight lead for Indonesia in combos, potentially.
Though you gotta look at the accuracy for Canada. Yummy and Stoof with like 99.5.
Oh, there we go. Oh boy, it's not looking good actually.
Uh-oh. 1 FC left for Indonesia. It's just Lloyd-kun out here. Though Yummy did break, it's Ryuke and Stoof. And as I say that, Stoof goes down. It's pretty even.
And Ryuke is still holding combo, and it would be a shame if something were to happen to them.
Ryuke and Lloyd-kun, they're the two to keep your eyes on. I think it's back in the favor of Indonesia. Could easily... Oh no!
Yeah, but then there's Lloyd-kun missing.
Oh no! Ryuke holding strong for Team Canada. He's all alone. The only FC. That was the closest map I think we've seen.
Yeah. But in the end, they still didn't win this point, and at this point, they got the information, hey, we might be closest when it comes to skills, or just skill sets in general, when we play DT. Chances are they're not going to be able to play DT at this point, because if Canada picks a pretty dominating map, then Indonesia just loses, and they don't have another chance.
They might go for hidden one at this point. Just secure it with something that they feel pretty strong on.
I mean, you did see 2 hiddens in 3.1, which says Indonesia does have a few people who like hidden and would be pretty comfortable on it.
That is true.
Oh, they are actually okay. Sure, okay, they're going for DT too.
Canada is warmed up and wants to party. Halloween party. Dressed up party?
Fair, to be fair, if Canada wins this pick, there's gonna be no doubt in anyone's mind. It's like, well, we could have still picked DT too, right? Yes, the song you're listening to right now is DT3, which is not gonna be played. It's gonna be the Halloween of the Dead. Maybe they're just throwing around with like some underlying messages at this point, called picking the Halloween of the Dead for the last pick.
They're about to dress up as the winners of this match. They come out on top here. How was your Halloween, by the way? Did you have a fun Halloween? Do you celebrate Halloween?
Well, it certainly exists. You do see some people running around who are who do have some costume on, but you generally don't really celebrate it. So the only way I can celebrate it was every bakery locally had a bunch of sweets. I just went there and bought some. That's literally all I did.
What kind of sweets? Pumpkin sweets? Or just,
I'm not sure what it's.
that's just your excuse to go get sugar?
I mean, yeah. I love my sugar. I mean, if I don't have diabetes, I probably will have in a few years' time. But Austria is pretty known for like at least its sweets and just the pretty much bakery stuff. And we don't screw around when it comes to that. And I don't know what's called in English, but it's like very fluffy and has some kind of marmalade in the middle of it.
Fluffy and has marmalade inside? That sounds like you're describing a donut.
It's similar, right? Yeah, actually, it is very similar to a donut. Not quite. That's actually a really good way of describing it. As pretty similar, but it's not a donut. But it is
Speaking
tasty.
of
That's
donuts,
the only part. Oh, speaking of donuts, all right.
the map is starting.
I was about to say, okay, speaking of donuts, all right. I want to see you segue out of this. Speaking of donuts, we might have a lot of donuts on the screen in different colors, which are called our circles to hit.
Speaking of donuts, they are the same shape of the circles we are clicking on screen right now. Very, very early breaks from Ryuza and Rexy's, it looks like. Probably won't matter too much if we see a break later on from Canada, but they seem a little shaken.
Oh, yeah, what would you even expect? So far we just see a bunch of singles with a few bursts. Is this pretty much the way the rest of the map is gonna go, Tori?
I'm sorry, I didn't really understand what you were asking.
Sorry, my thick Austrian accent came out.
No, I zoned out for a little bit. What were you saying?
I mean, you pretty much have to zone out when you see 8-way FC so far. Well, okay, I really early missed by user, but is this? Can you expect the second half to be pretty similar to the first half in this map, or is there some drastic change?
No, I think the map is all pretty similar. There might be one or two patterns that are like slightly harder, but for the most part, this map is mostly can you like keep your nerves down to aim the slightly like obtuse angled patterns. It's not really a speed map. There's not a lot to like. I mean, as long as you can single tap or I guess alt. Not a lot of streams in here. Stoof and Rexy's both dropping their combos, trading 1-for-1. The scores are really close. SMH breaking on a really slow part.
Oh man, that was really
Canada.
important.
That's just Canada's opening to take it away. The map is almost over.
They had
And you can
30,000 points in difference, and now it's just shrinking. Not shrinking, it's increasing. The lead is increasing.
Oh, it looks like the dream is over. There's such little map left, and Canada has 3 FCs. Look at that red bar grow. It's end of the line for Indonesia here, at least for the winner's bracket. They still have a chance in the loser's bracket. And with a miss from Rexy's, that's definitely sealed it. Canada coming out as the victor here. Very solid performance from all of them. Honestly, looking real solid.
Ooh, a triple FC. Every time you, as a team, you get over the 4 million points border, it's always really scary. And definitely shows how well you do in general as a team. I mean, I think in the Team USA game, you also had a lot of 4 million scores. And I think Canada is gonna get pretty far in this tournament. But for some good performances today in general. Obviously, some one miss plays people might want to fix and shouldn't really happen. But in general, solid performance. Indonesia tried their best, but it just wasn't really enough. And on the 2 picks, which Toy, you predicted would be potentially a good pick for them, they got pretty close, but it just wasn't enough. So at this point, GG to Indonesia. We'll see them in the losers bracket, and Canada is gonna advance to the next stage.
We'll see
And-
Canada face the winner of Brazil versus Russia, and
Ooh.
Indonesia will face Singapore in the losers bracket.
Right, and I think very interestingly, the way the bracket and the seeding works, we do see in this stage mostly 5-1s or 5-0s, and then 1 or 2 matches in each side of the bracket, which are really, really close and are gonna be really exciting. Mostly lower end teams meeting with each other in the losers bracket. And when in the winners bracket, you definitely see in the next round a lot of really strong teams meeting. But this round, Brazil versus Russia is definitely a match to look out for.
Would you say that that's of all the matches still remaining to be played, is that the one to look out for, or are there any others that you think will be really close?
I think personally there are 2, which is Australia versus South Korea and Brazil versus Russia. There is obviously UK versus Hong Kong, but I still think UK is such a huge powerhouse. I think they would take it. And Poland versus Romania is gonna be a big question mark. Romania has very clear weaknesses, but it's Poland.
It is Poland. But I honestly, looking at Romania's performance last week, I think they're going to surprise some people. I think a lot of people are going to be looking at Poland and just think, it's Poland. But I think Romania has a lot to prove here in this next match. But we'll see you soon for that. We're going to be signing off here.
Yeah, and this was OMG Force and Toy wishing you good night, good evening, depending on where you're from. Or
Good morning, potentially.
Right, yeah. Hello there, Australians.
And good night from us.
See ya.